Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, January the 25th. Hey, it has been a really cold week. We hope you all stayed safe. Stay out of that real cold temperatures when you need to. And if you are going out there, you stayed bundled up. Don't forget we're open right now, but what we're going to do is we are going to check with our local guys that give us all the information fishing. We got Tom, Lee, Tracy, and Gentry going to check in. We'll be right back with what the guys have to say about fishing in your neighborhood. Hey, got a special deal today. We got Tracy Robinson going to join us, talk a little bit of Logan Martin and Lake fishing. Tracy, you're one of the best fishermen around here. You spend a lot of time on these bodies of water. Tell me what's going on Logan Martin right now.
Well, I don't want to act like I've been out there too much this week.
None of us have.
but the fish are still biting, Dano. A lot of the weather that we've been having is kind of slowing things down a little bit. So
more for us though, right?
Yeah, more for us. But it's changing the fish too. You look up on the banks, you're seeing a lot of ice up on the banks. That's on the rocks and about 5 or 6 feet out away from the bank. Those fish are running from that right there. I've been talking the past few weeks about throwing up on the banks, on those chert rock banks and stuff. But those fish are getting away from that now. It's turning to ice up there on the bank. That warmer water's out towards the main river. So when you go, you're going to see more of the bait fish and more of the bass activity going on out on the main lake. The water's still really clear on these lakes too. So one of the days, Sunday last week, jerk bait. I could see 4 or 5 fish following it, but it was just almost too clear. They could see the bait. They looked at it. They said, "Oh, I know what that is. That's a 110 plus junior right there." And they all turned and went the other way. So the fish are out there, but they are difficult to catch right now.
So no punch in the ice.
No.
No ounce and a half. No ounce and a half weight through the ice.
Get away from the bank. Whether you're at Lay or Logan, either one, you got to kind of get away a little bit. But they are still catching some big numbers out there, especially on Lay, 23, 24 pounds.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Lake. You got a lot of standing timber there. Are they still hovering around that stuff when it gets this cold?
They are. You'll still see them. Most all the timber that you pull up on, you'll see 3 or 4 fish on each tree, and they are catchable fish. Jerk bait for me, swim baits for a lot of other people, but those fish are catchable. The forward-facing sonar at Lay is still really happening out on the main lake, and the weights are still stupid high down at Lay.
So let me ask you a question. I know there's a lot of vertical jig fishing techniques that can happen, especially around grass and things. Is that something that you might be able to do? Is maybe flip a big jig and just let it fall straight down the tree?
You probably could, Dano. That water's so clear down there right now. The only thing is getting up there really tight with those fish. I don't know if you can do it without spooking them because they're not super deep. You're only talking 10 to 12 feet down where the fish are in that standing timber, and it's super clear.
But certainly a drop shot or any of those kinds of things, if you don't have forward-facing sonar, might be a way to approach it. Yeah. Any other special techniques that you want to let out the bag right now?
No, kind of just the typical, wintertime stuff, the jerk bait, flat side crankbaits. All the lakes are still catching them everywhere I hear. I've heard them from Guntersville to Logan to Lay. Everybody's still catching fish, though. It's not uncatchable. It's just slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, and the crappie bite's starting to pick up too. That fish gets colder. The temperatures get colder. Those fish are going to kind of move to hard stuff too. So, Tracy, man, it's good to see you here on the shop. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks.
Folks, it's been really cold out there, and I know that you'd probably rather be sitting on your couch watching a little bit of TV, staying in the heat, but I know some of you are going to go fishing. This guy's been doing it. He's out there diehard all the time. It's Lee Pitts from Lee Pitts Outdoors. Lee, let's talk Weiss Lake right now. What's going on there?
This week has kind of been a lot of guys are catching more fish in the bait and tackle shops than what they're doing out on the water. It's just been one of those cold deals. You got to really, really want to get out there and get with it, but there's still fish to be caught right now. The crappie end of it, we'll start off with that right there. The crappie are cold water fish. They like it cold. As long as the wind is not just howling and we can sit over these fish, they're positioning up. They're getting where they need to be. And it's one of those things where we've kind of really had to slow it down, especially with our Bobby Garland baits. We've been kind of, instead of casting to them, or that vertical approach, more or less throwing a float out there and letting them just kind of come and pick it up. So, the fish are still there. They're still wanting to eat a little bit, but you just really, really had to slow things down.
All right, what about the bass bite? Is that similar?
Same deal. The shallow crankbait has not really been on like it has in the past couple of weeks. It's more of a shaky head, something that they can kind of look at for a little bit. And the jerk bait bite has been pretty good, but it's been a slow bite. It's been something that you've had to kind of let that bait sit there, let them eyeball it, let them look at it, let them come pick it up, when they want to get it. They're not going to chase anything right now. We need that sunshine to stay out. Need a little bit, when I say get warmer, it's bad when you say get in the mid 30s to 40s to get warmer. But that's what we need, just to kind of warm up a little bit where these fish still want to chase a little.
All right, Neely Henry, is it much the same out there, or is the current making things a little bit different?
The current's helping Neely a little, just because those fish, they get out there and they sit behind these eddy spots. They get on these hard bottoms. They want to feed. They get in a position where, whether it be behind some rock, wood cover, in some brush or something, and that's where they're just sitting and kind of holding right now and just waiting for some bait to come by them. And it's still that tight. I hate to say, and I'm an old school kind of guy, but man, that shad rap's been pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
That old 5 or 7 shad rap, you can kind of just get down there and make it quiver. These spotted bass, they still will react to that bait. Get it around that current, get it around, and I'm not talking about that pulling 3 turbine type deals.
No.
Just a little bit of current, even if it's just wind current. But a little bitty tight wobble, a little something that looks like a minnow just kind of quivering a little bit. That's what they're looking for.
Lee, as always, brother, we appreciate everything. Have a great rest of your day out there. We hope you kill something, and talk to you soon.
All right, man. Talk to y'all next week, and I'll see you on the water.
Folks, we're all freezing cold, wanting to stay inside, but some people are still braving this and going fishing. And I know you see it every time you roll by some of them launch ramps at Guntersville. We're going to talk to Tom Ott and see what he says is going on the big lake. Tom, what's happening out there?
I tell you, Dano, there's some tough ones out there right now.
Tough or stupid?
Well, yeah, that's debatable for sure. But I'll tell you, right now, what we're seeing with this really cold snap that we've had, kind of we had a long, a little high pressure situation, then it kind of dropped. I know for myself, I got out last week and I was really anticipating getting out before the front. I listened to the weather guessers. Front came in a little late and it just didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. But the fish have really kind of, I think this water temperature's dropped down, 45, 47 degrees. It's really changed the way, a lot of these fish are reacting. I know we saw the ABT, we saw some big weights. There weren't a lot of big weights. There was a 28-pound and then it dropped off really quick. And I think those guys really had to grind it out, especially on that Saturday. It was a tough day. And those bass are definitely starting to change a little bit with the way the bait fish are starting to react. The bait fish are getting out there a little bit deeper, and the bass are starting to do the same thing. And it's just, until we start seeing some steady temperatures, those bass will always be shallow, but it's just going to take a lot more work to get them to bite, to get them into a reaction situation where they're going to hit the bait. And it's just gotten a little tougher. I mean, you can't go out and expect 20 bites. I think it's still going to be kind of slim right now.
All right. What about crappie? They're a cold water fish. Lee and I talked about that on his report. What are you seeing out of that?
Man, I tell you, exactly. The crappie are doing the exact same thing. They've kind of moved away from those 8-10 foot kind of areas and around the grass, and they've gone deep. They've got around the rock area. So bluffs, again, the causeways are going to be real productive. But I mean, there's some big schools, and they're really concentrated right now. So you can get out there and catch a lot of fish. Like I said, we went the other day. It was a very, it was a high pressure situation. We were waiting on the front, and it was impossible to see these fish. And when you did find them, it was really hard to get them to bite. You had to really spoon feed it to them, and it was just a hard day. But then on Saturday, Sunday, it just really picked up. So those fish are still there, but they're just a little bit deeper, hanging out in a little bit different areas. You're just going to have to search for them with those electronics. Tom, as always, brother, we appreciate everything. Have a great evening, and we will talk to you again soon.
Hey, we got Gentry Gordy going to join us out here. We got a bunch of that snow stuff going on down there in southern Alabama. Gentry, have you avoided it? Or are you getting ready to go fishing?
No, we pretty much avoided it. I didn't get a chance to go this week, but made some phone calls. Lake Martin, Dano, I talked to a friend of mine, and he said that he's caught some pretty good fish on a crankbait, square billing up in the morning, the red crankbait starting to produce some good bites, hopping a rattle trap, and still, he said later in the day, able to hit some trash piles with a deeper crankbait and get some good bites.
So they're still on that deep bite too there, huh, with those big old brush piles and stuff?
Yeah, that's the majority of them is. You can still run around and find them on those docks, especially when the sun hits that, those black plastic. I swear by that. It just heats up under there. And it could be in a foot of water, but you just, it's hard to pattern that. You just have to know which ones to hit, especially if you can find some that's got some trash around it.
Okay, gotcha. I know you've been throwing jigs and stuff like that. Is there still that bite going on?
Yeah. This time, man, right there, like a green pumpkin in red or green pumpkin in orange, like a ball spider jig type thing's usually my go-to because I can hop it, but I can also just crawl it and count the rocks if I need to.
Gotcha. All right. So let's talk Jordan a little bit. I know that forward-facing sonar bite's been crazy there. Is that still going on as it's gotten colder?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just, we'll be talking about that same thing for the next few weeks, man. It's just the nature of the beast up there, man. Them boys know how to find them tournament wise. That's what you got to do. But you can still beat the banks and catch some fish like we've talked about. Docks and trash piles, jig. Pretty much just wintertime fishing, shaky head. And the A rig and the crankbait bite up there is good, but it's hard to compete with that forward facing sonar.
Is it the kind of thing right now that you're going to want to move around a lot, or are you going to just have to kind of sit down and hunker down and maybe use the forward facing sonar to find where they're at if you're going to fish shallow? Because you don't want to be moving around a lot. Is that what I'm thinking?
Yeah, if you're doing the forward facing sonar, man, it's just back and forth and finding those groups and working on them. And as far as bank, what I've always done with Jordan is if you're bank beating up there, those fish are usually at the mouth. I try to find a pretty decent pocket, figure out where in that pocket they are, whether they're in the back, they're in the front, and then you can run that pattern on different pockets. Just see where, because it changes so much. Just see where they are in those pockets, if they're at the mouth or at the back. But, if you got current flowing, a lot of times you're going to be towards the mouth of those pockets and cuts up there.
Well, Gentry, appreciate everything. Stay warm out there. Keep doing what you're doing. Those people need you out there, brother. We appreciate it. That'll wrap up our Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, January the 25th. Hey, don't forget to come on by and see us. We know you're starting to get the itch to get out there and go boating. Even in this cold weather, we think about it, don't we? Come and see Katie and everybody at Bucks Island here at the loft. There's hand warmers in there if you guys are looking for them. We got some of that kind of stuff. And then, of course, parts and service to keep your boat running, whether you like to do it yourself or get a little bit of help. Come see us at Bucks Island. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you again next week.